Priest Brown's replacement was Reverend James Smith, who is described to see things as black and white. Mr. Brown was more concerned about bringing in a lot of followers, but it was an everlasting consequence to fill the church with an adulterous crowd. Mr. Smith heard of this young woman who allowed her husband to mutilate her dead child to discourage it from returning. He was angry about it and in disbelief. He claimed such stories were spread by the devil. There is an extreme convert named Enoch who was causing problems between the church and the clan. There is an annual ceremony when ancestors of a clan who was committed to Mother Earth at their deaths emerged again as Igwigwus. It was a definite crime to unmask an Igwigwu in public. Enoch, however, did. No one have ever heard of a clan's member unmasking an Igwigwu, even the ancestors. Mr. Smith was aware of the incident and was fearful throughout the night from the cries him and his followers heard throughout the night.
You good?
No? I, Enoch, unmask this Igwigwu!
Oh no, not the
The next day, the band of Igwigwus went to Enoch's compound and set it on fire and left it desolated. Soon after, they headed towards the church. Mr. Smith was terrified at first, but then approached the men with his interpreter. The Igwigwu tell Mr. Smith that they liked Enoch better before he converted, even if he was weird. That they will not harm the priest, but to go back in his church. That their anger was great, but they have held it down so they can talk to him. This is the theme of language as a sign of cultural differences because Mr. Smith, he had to have an interpreter in order to talk to the natives, and some things were missaid and not said as accurate as what they're trying to tell each other. And also it introduces the theme that's of the struggle between change and tradition, because obviously they want the white men, the imperialists, they want their churches and to teach the natives these things, but the natives just want to keep their traditions alive. The Reverend replies, quote, "Tell them to go away from here. This is the house of God, and I will not live to see it desecrated." Mr. Smith stood his ground, but for the moment the clan felt pacified, only because the clan burnt down their church. Introduces the divisive situational irony because his last name is Brown, even though he is white. He is symbolic of good morality, housing, and policy of respect and compromise between both the clan and the church by taking his time to learn about the clan and their gods, and he also avoids violence and harsh religious oppressions. Reverend James Smith is symbolic of bad morality. His name Smith is a very ordinary, common white name. He is the opposite of Brown, being impatient and strict, and having no respect for the other culture, and encouraging vigorous methods to provoke change in the clan. All things fall apart is a reflection of the heart of darkness, and it shows the other side of the story, which is the native side. The book shows how the natives don't necessarily appreciate what the imperialists are doing, and that they rather keep their traditions or just keep the clan and church separate. The chapter as a whole is very important because it doesn't completely convey that all white men are evil, and like how Mr. Brown is good and Reverend James is not so much, but ultimately how Achebe doesn't absolutely bash on the white men, unlike Joseph Conrad did with the natives in The Heart of Darkness.